I used to think of Chinese cars as copycats that took a lot of design cues from a lot of different brands and just mixed it together, or just plainly straight up copied existing designs that are popular all around the world and just turned them into their own brand. But now in this EV era, with this Xiaomi cars that come out, the sedan, and now we have the crossover SUV, I think it's time we start taking Chinese vehicles a little bit more seriously, because the value you get is pretty fantastic with these vehicles. And I think that has to do with China always been, a massive tech country. Maybe not so much in the automotive field, but now that we mix tech with, consumer electronics into cars in these new EVs, I think they're gonna have a huge advantage moving forward. And I think Tesla might be cooked if this vehicle actually makes it over here to the United States. So we're going to have a look at this vehicle, what this is all about, and I'm going to let you know why I think this is such a great value, even though personally there are things that I don't like about this car. For example, the interior has this typical minimalist EV interior that looks extremely depressing to me. I actually have a Volvo EX30 now for a week, and I also have a Chevy EV for a week, both cars. And this is the first time that it's crazy to say this, but I actually prefer to jump into the Chevy, because the Volvo has an extremely minimalist interior that does not feel like a place that I want to get into. But the Chevy, completely different, and we have the sort of Volvo EX style or vibe here for the Xiaomi SUV as well for the interior. But let's jump into Car Scoops here, and let's have a look at this vehicle, what this is all about, before we jump into Photoshop and check out this design. Because the design, still, they take a lot of inspiration from a lot of different brands. The McLaren, I see some Porsche in here, I see a little bit of Tesla, maybe a Ferrari Purosangue, all mixed into one vehicle. So Xiaomi SUV, Tesla beating pricing, sparks frenzy with 289,000 orders. Pre-orders these are in 1 hour. You can definitely say that is a pretty successful pre-launch of any type of product. It's designed to challenge the Tesla Model Y. It offers up to 681 horsepower. It looks like a budget-friendly Ferrari Purosangue with a McLaren nose, and that is exactly what I totally agree with that as well. So pricing in China starts at just $34,500, and I think that is a pretty decent deal for what you get. We're going to have a look at all the trim levels here, and that is for the base model, and goes up to $44,700 for the flagship model, and that is the one with 681 horsepower. So you got $34,500 for the standard ultra long-range rear-wheel drive model. Claimed to go about 516 miles on the very optimistic CLTC cycle. So it's probably going to be closer to about maybe right over 400 or something like that. You got a single motor with 315 horsepower. That's totally fine for me. We don't need every single EV to be 2,500 horsepower. It is getting ridiculous. So just keep it a little... I mean, now... I noticed a design flaw in the EX90, for example, EX30 that I have right now. I'm not sure exactly how much power it has, but it has plenty of power. And I floored it, and my charger that sat on the phone, my phone sat on the wireless charger, and the phone just flew back, even though it was in its design spot. So when I floored it, the phone flew into the back seat. So power right now is just getting crazy. I think we should maybe dial it down a little bit and focus on other things than just putting 1,000 horsepower in every single vehicle. Then you have the Pro version here, $37,900, and that's you now get all-wheel drive, which is something I probably want to have. 489 horsepower, a claimed range of 478 miles. Again, optimistic cycle here. Last but not least, you have the Max model, high-performance all-wheel drive capabilities, $44,700. Dual motors here produce 681 horsepower. Crazy number. 0 to 60, 3.23 seconds, 472 miles. Again, very optimistic cycle. So the Tesla Model Y, compare that. Starting point for the rear-wheel drive is $35,200. And 0 to 60 is just under 6 seconds, 368 miles of range, so less, way less than this one. Then you got the long-range Model Y, $41,300. 446 miles, getting better. And you have the 0-60 time in 4.3 seconds. They haven't yet released the performance version of the Model Y Juniper version, but we have seen spy photos of it. And I think it looks pretty good. I mean, the wheels just make such a big difference. It doesn't matter what car you're driving. Put the right wheels on it, and it can completely transform a vehicle. And I think that happens with the Model 3 and the Model Y when you put the performance wheels on there. So Xiaomi claims on social media that it received over 289,000 orders for the YU7, which is this SUV, within just an hour of opening pre-sales. And you had to put down a $670 deposit. If you do that before July 31st, you will get an $8,800 discount. I mean, now we're starting to get into some real value here if you really want an EV. Their first SUV following the SU7 sedan, and the sedan has been a runaway success in its home market in China, racking up 258,000 sales in just 14 months, including 28,000 deliveries in April alone. So the design here, it features the shark nose front end. I feel like every 50% of new cars call their front end a shark nose. Toyota calls it a shark nose. There is some other brand that calls it a shark. I can't remember right now. And then we have this shark nose as well. A lot of sharks in car design today. So you have the water drop headlights, which have channels that direct air out through the hood. Speaking of which, the crossover has the largest clamshell aluminum hood among mass-produced vehicles, making it feel like almost like an exotic. The only clamshell design that I know of that is in like regular vehicle, it's not really a regular vehicle, but that is a Genesis G90. Big clamshell hood, beautiful design there as well. Huge fan of clamshell hoods. So the production model has 10 through-flow air channels and 19 optimized vents to manage airflow precisely. Aerodynamics was a huge part when they developed this vehicle. You also have optimized wheels for aerodynamics and an active grille shutter system as well. Flush mounted door handles and a standard panoramic glass roof. They're joined by a distinctive rear end with halo taillights and 2 spoilers. So dual spoilers in this. And it's almost the size of the Tesla Model X. It's only 2.3 inches shorter, or 58 millimeters shorter than the Model X. So I'm not sure if it's closer to the Model Y or the Model X in size. The wheelbase is longer than the Model X though. So the cabin here, check out this cabin. Very, very minimalist cabin. And we also have this BMW panoramic iDrive system. But I do like that we can recline both the front seats, as you can see here, and the back seat. So if you go on a long drive, since you have this 400 plus mile range, claimed range, you might want to take a break every now and then and just recline back. You can move out the leg support here as well and probably take a pretty good nap in these seats. Also in the back seats here, as you can see. But the interior, I kind of like this color right here. You have climate settings for the rear end as well. 2 big, massive screen TVs in the back here, in the front as well. So entertainment is on point, I guess, if you have people in the back seat. You can see the storage space here, how you can customize, I guess, the interior for whatever space you need. Clamshell design here, massive hood. This is my favorite design feature of this vehicle. I think this is so cool that they made a clamshell design for this vehicle. So the cabin is overly minimalist. It dominates by a 16.1-inch infotainment system and a Hypervision panoramic display, which sits right in the base of the windshield. You can see that right here. The latter echoes BMW's panoramic iDrive display that spans 43.3 inches across the entire base of the windshield. It's getting crazy with screens. It can act as a speedometer, a navigation display, and a front passenger display. You have Nappa leather zero-gravity front seats with one-touch recline and 10-point massage function, something I don't think we get in... Do we get massaging seats in Teslas now with the refresh? I'm not entirely sure. So they're joined by a power-adjusted rear seats with backrest that can tilt from 100 to 135 degrees. You can see that again right here. Rear seats passenger will also find dedicated climate control settings and dual screens entertainment systems. We talked about the specs here already. Here's the rear view of it. You can go from 10 to 80% of charge in as little as 12 minutes. Not bad at all. After 15 minutes, you can get up to 385 miles of range. You got air springs as well, which can provide you with, of course, an adjustable suspension here. 5 levels of adjustments, meaning the crossover can provide up to 8.7 inches of ground clearance. Other highlights include continuous damper control and high-performance braking system. 4-piston brakes by Brembo themselves. Advanced driver assistant technology are included in this as well. You got a roof-mounted LiDAR system, a 4D millimeter wave radar. I have no idea what the heck that is, but it sounds very high-tech. 11 high-definition cameras and 12 ultrasonic cameras as well. Here you can see some details about this. The Brembo brakes with the perforated discs, looking like a serious performance brake situation that we have going on here. And you can see some more of the motors here as well. So let's jump into Photoshop here and have a look at this design. Because to me, as I said, China is maybe starting to find their own identity, finally. I mean, since the beginning of car design in China, there have been copycats this entire time. Yes, this looks maybe a little bit too much, I don't know, like a McLaren. It looks like a McLaren SUV for sure, with the skeleton hollowed out portions for the headlight unit right here. And we have a nice Daytona light in the middle, one single line like that. And the design overall, with the lines that we have in clamshell design, I think this is a very attractive looking vehicle. Surprised to say that. Because usually, I mean, China can make good looking vehicles, but they always have a resemblance to some very popular car in the rest of the world. Then we have the intakes right here, the shutter system, the active shutters all the way down here in the bottom, and we have nice fluid lines on the hood design itself. You have the LiDAR system situated probably up there in that little scoop up there, and a lot of funnels to funnel air through here to create this very, very low drag coefficient that we have for this SUV. Now looking at the side view, look at this. This does not have the bubbly proportions that I don't want to see. Doesn't matter if it's an EV or internal combustion engine. I never want to see bubble designs for cars. It just does not look good proportionally. But this one, check this out. If we draw this line from the A-pillar down, it goes almost right in the middle. I'm not sure, if I create a straight line down here, almost right in the center of the front axle. And these are the typical proportions of SUVs with an internal combustion engine. And this looks like it could potentially house an engine underneath here, because we have this hood design and the A-pillar sitting far enough back that it feels like it could actually house a regular internal combustion under this beautiful clamshell hood. And looking at the rear end, yes, it dips down. This is where the Porsche styling comes in for me. It has a very raked rear end with this nice spoiler in the back as well. And you have this not a classic, but very easily identifiable taillight design in the back. The wheels, again, the wheels with this type of range, I think this is just demonstrating that you don't need to have, food plates as wheels if you want to have great range. This is over 400 miles of range, and we still have a regular 5-spoke design. And this is what you want to have, specifically if you have, Brembo brakes, this 4-piston brakes. Back here, you want to be able to see the brake discs behind the spokes and show that off behind the spokes themselves. So I like to see that. We also have this design in the lower section, carving out again some of this typical design in the lower section with some black graphics. Now looking at the rear end, it looks decent. It definitely does not look like this is too much of a copy of any existing model. Like the front end looks like a McLaren. I can't really tell what this would be a copy of. So I feel like the rear end of this Xiaomi has more personality and more unique identity than the front end. And I like that we have a clear separation of the top half graphics right here, lower half graphics separated by a bumper here. So bumpers are hopefully making a comeback. I like to see just proper bumpers on cars, not just have everything be flush like this. This looks decent to me. It's not a bad design at all, even though it has, as I said, a lot of inspiration, we can call it, from a bunch of different car manufacturers. Now coming into the interior, and this is where it gets a little tricky, as you know. How many times am I going to say it? Designs like this, Do you want to step in here and spend 4 hour a cross-country road trip in this vehicle? It's probably very comfortable, but there's really nothing that you can touch and feel and smell. Everything is just the same minimalist interior styling, and you have this panel screen here that's going to happen for BMW. I can't believe BMW is actually going to put this into production, a screen like this for the vehicles. It's such a shame. I really don't want to see BMW do that. I want to see them go back to the iDrive 7, 8 system. Where that was peak in tech, interior, and interior design for me. Having these type of interiors where you have just a flat screen right floating here in the mid-air with no sort of integration at all, it's just not my type of design that I personally like. But I'm sure you know that already. You have 2 cup holders here, as well as a pretty good looking steering wheel. You have probably some drive settings here, suspension settings probably. You can raise it up, the adaptive suspension. The steering wheel looks great. We have some nice trim inside here, different materials. So overall, I mean, if this comes to the US, Tesla might be cooked. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's going to come to the US. Maybe it will. And I think, honestly, I really don't think people will mind that this is made in China. And Tesla, I think Tesla is also made in China now, by the way. Tesla Model Y, I'm pretty sure it's made in China. So it's not going to make a difference to buyers. All buyers want, they want to have good value. They want good features and quality for a decent price. And that is all buyers care about. And I think specifically so with EVs that are probably not, car enthusiasts by its, traditional definition. So I think if this comes to the US, it's going to be a very, very interesting time, not just for this company, but also to see how that would affect Tesla sales.